specifically Rubio, what he did. When he comes in second and third, they tweak what he has to say after he's apparently lost, because then I noticed he's going a little bit more pro-amnesty. So what he's doing is he's lost. So he's switching things up a little bit more, going pro-amnesty, getting on stage, talking like a winner, and talking a little more pro-amnesty, because what is he doing? He needs to now go grab some of the people that are going towards Trump, which are a little bit more independent, more moderate conservatives, is what I've recently seen.
Right.
I think you're right on that.
Yeah. Yeah. If you guys want to call in, you're listening to New Media Patriot Radio. If you want to call into the show, the number is, don't be shy. I know there's people listening. So, the number is 347-571-9007. Call in today. Call in right now and ask us any kind of question that you have in mind. Let's talk about, Donald Trump came out, and he basically took advantage of Rick Tyler being fired by the Ted Cruz campaign. Rick Tyler was the communication director for Ted Cruz. Do you think that's ultimately going to hurt him in Nevada? I mean, we will find out in a couple of hours. So, Doc, do you think that will hurt him? You think it was bad timing on his part? And the reason why, if you guys don't know, the reason why he was fired was because of some commercial or something that they played regarding Rubio and the Bible, and how that was a complete lie, fabrication, and actually where Ted Cruz had to apologize to Rubio. But do you think that's going to affect the caucuses tonight in Nevada?
Affected for Trump or
for both? I mean, you think it's a disadvantage, or it was a bad strategy on Ted Cruz's part to fire him just before the caucuses?
Well, I think it may hurt Ted Cruz greatly, because it's another illustration of some of the dirty tricks tactics that his campaign is engaging in, which we've watched and we've seen. And I went back and studied the videos of Cruz in 2013. I happened to have been in Chile 6 months of the year that year, and I missed a lot of it. Mm-hmm. But I went back and studied that, and I was shocked at the way in which, in his own words, with his own videos, this is not opinion, it's taking Ted Cruz's own words, he was saying the opposite of what he's been saying in 2015 running for president. And to claim that you are a Christian and to claim that you represent evangelicals, and then to be serially distorting the truth and misrepresenting your positions and what you said and denying what you said when it's on video record is just as bad and lacking integrity as what we're worried about with Hillary Clinton lying about Benghazi. Right. And so I've been very bothered. I was a Cruz supporter early on, and I even gave some money to his campaign, and I was shocked at what I was coming to learn the more I studied. So I think this latest firing of Rick Tyler, and the fact that he has apologized to Dr. Carson and he's apologized to Rubio for the lies that he told against them, I think that is turning off many of the evangelicals that he thought were a lock for him, and that the media keeps saying, well, Trump will never get the evangelicals. Well, he basically, hate to tell you guys, but he did in South Carolina. Yeah, he basically won every single precinct out there in South Carolina, every county in South Carolina, and he won the evangelical vote. But I also want to mention that he recently came out really strongly about this. I've said this in previous shows where I like Ted Cruz. I will vote for him if he gets the nomination. I liked him. He's my second choice. Seriously, I like him. I like him a lot. But the bottom line is this. You can't run, like you mentioned, you can't run as this religious person and then constantly lie. And again, and this is why I'm so fed up with the quote unquote attorney politician, because they know, it's like I said in my past show, I said, listening to Ted Cruz defend his positions, it's like reading the fine print of a cell phone contract. It's very confusing. It's very like all over the place, and you're just like, whatever, you know? And that's how I feel about Ted Cruz. Again, I like him. I support him. But now I've said this in the past. He kind of,
he's kind of like riding Trump's coattails in the sense that he saw how much of a great reception Trump was getting by being such a proponent of illegal immigration and closing the border. And it was like basically he was testing the waters, and finally he saw that it was working, and now he's taking Trump's position. Yesterday he comes out and he says, I look for and deport all. I'm looking to deport all illegal aliens, while Rubio and Trump would allow citizenship. Now that is complete bullcrap. How do you say that? I can see how you say that about Marco Rubio, but Donald Trump has been strongly opposed to it. And I just feel like he's just continuing on this narrative where he's going to follow Donald Trump's strategy and copy it to see if it works. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think there's a lot of truth to that.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, Cam, how do you feel about that?
That's okay. I think the one thing with Cruz, and I think this goes back to my psychiatric medicine days, because I think a little bit differently, and I'm trying to see a strategy here, because Donald Trump's playing a psychological game here, and it's one that he's outsmarting every single person. Right. I believe when he actually asked for the resignation of Rick Tyler, he thought, oh my goodness, this is my day of redemption. This is where everything they've said about me, I'm standing up and I'm being a big boy, and I'm actually saying, I will not put up with this. And what you are talking about just now, from what I've seen from the way that Cruz has operated, I believe in the beginning, we saw a little bit of the real Cruz. I think we saw the real Ted Cruz. I believe we did. And then I believe that once Donald Trump became such a threat, the donors started whispering things into his ears and telling him, you got to do this. Because I don't know if it's just me. I saw a big flip-flop in Ted Cruz literally recently over the last 30 to 45 days is when I've seen a big difference in how his campaign is operating here. So that lets me know on a level who is influencing him in the decisions that he has to make. Yeah. But this whole thing that just happened, he believed that, oh my gosh, everything that I have done, this is my day of redemption. I am standing up and saying, no, my campaign will not allow it. Mm-hmm. Problem is, it's a little bit too late.
Yeah, well, that's just it. It seems so like, copycat. It was just January 10th where he told Jake Tapper on CNN that he basically, this is his quote on CNN. How do you go from saying that you're going to deport all illegals and saying that Trump will allow citizenship? How do you say that after what Trump has said from day one about immigration and illegal immigration? He goes on on January 10th. He tells Jake Tapper of CNN, "We don't have a system that knocks on the doors of every person in America." Cruz told Tapper, "We also don't have people doing door to door looking for murderers. We don't live in a police state. We do have law enforcement. I have news for you. We do have people that knock door to door to search for murderers. They're called detectives. So how can you go from that position, that weak of a position, to now saying that Trump is going to be weak on immigration, Dr. Lee?"
Well, I think it goes to the point of the character of someone who is comfortable lying. It's along the lines of the narcissistic belief that anything I say is going to be believed because I'm powerful, because I'm special, because they're not going to remember what I said in 2013 or 2014, mm-hmm. and I can lie with impunity. And so he is throwing out the statements about Trump because the people listening to him are Ted Cruz supporters. They don't tend to be the Trump supporters. Right. So he's fueling them to go out and do more dirty work against Trump or Carson, whomever the target is. It's not just Trump.
That's an interesting take.
It's a strategy. It's the Alinsky model, and they're using that on our side as well. And sadly, voters get taken in by the fact that they don't do their research. People listen in sound bites, and they have the attention span of a gnat, and so consequently, they don't dig into it to find out.
What do you tell the Trump supporter? Sometimes I listen to a lot of talk radio, and you have a lot of the radio hosts challenging the callers. The same can be said about Donald Trump, how he is basically riling his troops and saying things that people say, that people want to hear. How do you defend that? If you were a caller on that particular radio show?
Are you kidding me? How do you defend that? We have a president of the United States of America that won't even say the word radical Islam. You have the news media showing people getting their heads chopped off. Right. And you have people here that are losing their rights. When you start taking the rights of the people, and now what is used to not be accepted, they're trying to get us to accept different things. I mean, you see the police are they're coming back at the police. Now they're making it a racial issue. I mean, I've never seen so much. A lot of it's stemming from the White House. And really, what Donald Trump is saying is exactly what mainstream media is reporting. Right. So he's saying exactly what they are reporting. So how can they say we don't have an issue with that? We have refugees coming in. I'm in Southern California. Look at San Bernardino, 30 miles up the freeway from here. You have people that turn around in the grocery stores when the security calls and says we need security at the front. We're looking over our shoulders. Those are real issues here. And we've got a president that walks into a mosque that is associated with a terrorist organization, and they're going to call Trump out on it. And then you've got police officers, which my family's in Texas, I'm from Dallas, that have worked on the border and saying that we're having to let people cross the borders. I interviewed Sabina Durden. Her son was killed by an illegal immigrant, and you wouldn't believe his track record. Mm-hmm. These are real stories that are really happening in this country. Right. So the great thing that we have on our side to combat everything that Donald Trump is saying is factual, and it's documented, and it's real issues. We are not going to be blinded anymore by trying to have to debate the real issues that are going on in the world. No one can debate the issues that we are having. He's speaking the truth. He's speaking what's being reported, but he's also calling out the people that want to deflect the truth to make it a socially acceptable in today's day and age. And we've had enough.
Right. You're listening to New Media Patriot.
You're absolutely right.
Hold on one second. You're listening to New Media Patriot Radio. I'm your host, Chris. You can call us. You can call us right now at 347-571-9007. That is 347-571-9007. Dr. Lee, what's your take on that? How do you defend Donald? How do you defend somebody that says Donald Trump is using the same tactics that every other politician is using, except he's using it like if it was on steroids? What do you tell? How do you defend Donald Trump in that case?
Well, actually, I don't think he's using the same tactics that all of the politicians do, because he has been the one person who's been a breath of fresh air who's not politically correct. He's saying the emperor is naked. All of the rest of the politicians said, "Oh, look at the emperor's beautiful new clothes." I mean, the guy is flat out telling Americans the reality. Americans in their gut know. You drive around Tucson and you look at the closed storefronts. You drive around other cities. I travel enough in the U.S. I see what's happening in the middle of the country. Their businesses are out of business. People are out of work. We have 1/3 of the American population out of work. And people know in their gut that something is seriously wrong, and they know they're being lied to. And Trump was the first one who came along speaking the truth. Now, let's look at why exactly the dogs of hell have been unleashed against Trump by everybody: the Republican Party, the media, the presidents of other countries,
the donor class. For instance, the Marlene Ricketts, the wife of billionaire of TD America, Joe Ricketts, who funded basically super PACs, a super PAC. I think the name was Our Principal PAC. They basically ran these ads in Iowa and New Hampshire, and they came up empty-handed. So I just wanted to make that point.
Well, look at what Trump is not owned by anyone the way that other politicians are. You didn't see this much vitriol when Al Sharpton ran for president, and good Lord, look at some of the problems that man brings to the table.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when white supremacist David Duke ran for governor of Louisiana, nobody had all of the horrible things to say about him that we're seeing with Trump. I mean, all the way around.
Well, that's just it. That's just it. That's how we lose election. The GOP, when it comes to the generals, they don't attack. They don't attack, and that's how President Obama, got elected, got reelected. They were afraid to attack him on racial issues because they felt they were going to lose the quote unquote minority vote. So, just wanted to make that point.
Well, I think there's that.